Alright, good evening. It is the 20th of October 2019. I'm David Reimer, and we're starting a bit early this evening. We did mention in our blogs this morning that there was a low probability that we could have a few isolated supercellular thunderstorms fire up before 7 o'clock or around that time frame, and it has occurred. So, let me go ahead and recap what we have going on now, and let me stress that the main severe weather threat we're expecting is still going to be after 10 p.m. and closer to midnight in all likelihood. We are live on Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, and our new channel Twitch, which you can watch live on our website without any need to be logged in anywhere at texasstormchasers.com/live or in our free mobile app. It is 6:46 now, so let's talk about what we have going on. We have a couple of different supercellular thunderstorm warnings, or supercellular thunderstorm warnings, supercells in place. One is going to be north of Luling in south central Texas. We have one that is near Troop in East Texas, and we have a supercell that has now begun to quickly intensify east of Mineral Wells and in Parker County in North Texas. In all likelihood, that is going to start producing some big hail here real quick. What I want to do before I look at each individual thunderstorm is take a look at the weather model data for the overnight hours. We are expecting a line of strong to severe thunderstorms to develop closer to midnight as a cool front moves southeast into Texoma, North Texas, the eastern Big Country, the Concho Valley. That line of storms will then move east-southeast into Monday morning, into central Texas, the Hill Country, the Brazos Valley, East Texas, and Northeast Texas. The primary severe weather threat with that squall line will be damaging straight-line winds of 60 to 75 miles an hour and the possibility of some quarter-size hail. Brief tornadoes cannot be ruled out with that, especially in more intense portions of the squall line or where we see bow echo structures develop. The issue over the next several hours with these discrete storms will be all modes of severe weather, large hail, damaging winds, and there is the threat for a few tornadoes, which is why we're now live doing this update. So I'm going to turn some stuff off here. We're going to switch to high-resolution weather model data, and I want to start out with the new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued for Parker County, west of the DFW Metroplex in North Texas. Let me press a couple buttons here. We're going to make this all pretty and nice. And you can see this storm that is southwest of Weatherford is likely undergoing what we call a split. It's supercellular in nature. It looks like a little kidney bean. And this thunderstorm, here I'll just start loading looping data here. It's going to take a minute to loop, but you'll see how quickly this thunderstorm developed. It's currently moving northeast at, I'm just going to eyeball it and say about 25 miles an hour. I'll actually see if it works. About 30 miles an hour, close enough. For now, it is capable of producing quarter to half dollar size hail and winds of 60 miles an hour. I'll be perfectly honest, if this thing takes off over the next 30 minutes, it's probably going to be throwing out baseballs by the time we're said and done. So those of you in Parker County, Wise County, Denton County, and even Tarrant County, keep a very close eye on this thunderstorm, alright? If it splits, we're going to have one part of the storm turn more north. That would move into Wise County and impact folks like Runaway Bay and Decatur over the next hour. The second storm would end up turning right and probably riding Interstate 30 east into the DFW Metroplex. And if you saw the weather model simulation I showed previously, you saw that model actually picks up on this specific thunderstorm and does exactly that. So if that happens, we're going to have a relatively dangerous situation develop with a intense supercell moving east into the DFW Metroplex. That storm would primarily be a big hail producer. We're talking about the potential for big hail, damaging wind gust, and we would have to watch it for signs of low-level rotation given the strong wind shear currently in place. That's assuming the relatively worst-case scenario comes to fruition and we see that thunderstorm develop. Now, we do have other little thunderstorms that are developing down into Hood County, down into Erath County, Stephenville, Granbury. For now, these storms are not severe, but we're going to have to watch them closely as they could take off just as easily as this thunderstorm, this supercell in western Parker County. I'm going to take a look now at East Texas. We have a supercell thunderstorm southwest of Henderson. It has a hook echo southwest of Henderson off Highway 79. Hail indications of probably quarter to ping pong ball at this point. We're going to switch on our storm tracking mode. This storm's moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. Could be a threat to Tatum and Beckville in the next 1 hour. If it turns a little more right, this could be a direct threat to Carthage in the next 1 hour. We do note there is some low-level rotation being indicated by the weather radar. You can see it's not overly strong, but the reds are moving away from the radar. The greens are moving towards the radar. We have what's called a broad velocity couplet at this time. We get really concerned when those bright reds are right next to the bright greens, and that's when you have a pretty strong sign of a tornado. At this point, we do not have that. We have received visual reports from trained weather spotters of a wall cloud with this thunderstorm, and we're certainly going to be keeping an eye on it based off the ingredients in place, which do support the possibility of organized low-level rotation. So those of you from Tatum, Beckville, Carthage, and Henderson, keep a close eye on this storm. It's capable of producing quarter to half dollar size hail, winds of 60 right now, but it does show signs of weak low-level rotation, and that's closely being monitored in case it intensifies. Have a severe thunderstorm now north of Luling, just east of Highway 183. Looks like it's weakening compared to what it looked like 10 minutes ago. Not really expecting too much in the way of an organized severe weather threat with this activity, but isolated severe weather with hail will be possible east of Interstate 35 from Luling to Bastrop to Elgin with these isolated thunderstorms over the next 1 hour. But I stress, for the next 2 hours, our main concern will be with two severe thunderstorms. One, the supercell in Parker County that seems to be splitting, and then the second that's near Henderson that could be moving towards Carthage. I'm going to take again, I'm just going to loop this real quick. I'm going to turn on the loop-de-doop-de button, and we are going to take a look. You see how quickly this thunderstorm developed, and that's just one indication that, one, the cap is starting to break a little early, and two, we have a lot of wind shear in place. I stress that while we mentioned earlier the primary threats would be hail and damaging winds, based off the early development of these individual discrete supercells, we definitely are going to have to watch for the potential for a few tornadoes. Nothing imminent, but just a heads up, that threat definitely isn't zero this evening. I'm going to take a look at the hail cores. I'm hoping, yeah, you can see that right now, the splitting supercell. Well, that was horrible. My drawing skills are horrible. I need a telestrator that I can actually just press buttons. Paige, do me a favor, make sure the storms outside aren't doing this. You have two separate cores. One along just south of Interstate 20 from Weatherford southwest of Brock, and then you have another hail core just northeast of Cool and Highway 180. I'm going to switch this back over to the reflectivity mode, and you can kind of see what we have going on. We have one storm that's starting to move more like that, and then this supercell that's southwest of Weatherford is probably going to start moving like that, maybe more towards northern Tarrant County. It is this southern supercell we're going to have to watch for signs of organizing low-level rotation. Right now that's not happening, but the hail core is increasing. We could see quarter to golf ball size hail, and I do stress that given the thermodynamics and kinematics in place, the instability combined with the wind shear, we could definitely have a significant hail issue with these storms develop over the next hour. By significant, I mean baseball size hail. So that is what we're going to be keeping an eye on over the next hour. We're also going to be watching the severe thunderstorm near Henderson in East Texas, and I'll show you that as soon as I get rid of my horrible squiggly drawing. We'll go back and take a look at that. Severe thunderstorm near Henderson, right up Highway 79. It's going to be making its way towards Beckville and Tatum. I can't rule out it trying to turn a little more right, in which case it would be more of a threat to Beckville and Carthage in the next 1 hour. The storm's moving northeast at about 35 miles an hour. Currently capable of producing quarter to ping pong ball size hail, damaging straight line winds of 60 miles an hour. And we do note it does have an appendage, a hook, which doesn't automatically mean there's a tornado, but we are watching for signs of increasing low-level rotation. It's weak right now, but there is a wall cloud. Spotters are reporting there's a wall cloud. There's some weak rotation, so we'll be keeping an eye on that over the next hour. And in all likelihood, this storm will end up making its way towards Shreveport within the next 2 hours. So those of you from Henderson to Shreveport, and anybody in between, just a heads up, this storm's probably not going to be going away. The primary severe weather threat in terms of what could impact the most folks will likely be after 11 p.m. into the early morning hours Monday as a line of strong to severe thunderstorms develops along a cool front from Oklahoma to Texoma to North Texas, all the way back into the Concho Valley, and that's going to make its way east-southeast into the Brazos Valley, Central Texas, East Texas, Northeast Texas, after midnight into the morning hours. Not all storms are going to be severe in that squall line, but the strongest could produce quarter to ping pong ball sized hail, wind gusts of 60 to 75 miles an hour, locally higher, and the potential for a few brief tornadoes. So we are going to be back here probably in a bit. It sounds like we're about to have a new severe weather watch issued, so we're going to get that put out on the blog in written format, and we'll likely be back here doing live severe weather coverage as needed over the evening. I'm David Reimer with Texas Storm Chasers. Stay weather aware, and you can keep an eye on the radar on our website in our free mobile app, texasstormchasers.com/radar.